There are some things in life that are better left unknown, undiscovered. Some things we should never see. But curiosity, they say, killed the cat. And for me, it almost cost me my life. I was working up north in the city of Dunwich, Massachusetts, doing an investigation on this house for a client who wanted to buy it. The house had been abandoned for over 25 years, and no one had set foot inside since 1983. The clients wanted me to go in there and check it out, because they did and want to pay for an interior inspection. So I went in. Well, if I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have gone in. The house was filled with all sorts of unsettling things, like animal bones, taxidermy, and occult symbols painted on the walls. But there was something else there too, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. There was this feeling in the house that made me very uncomfortable, this feeling like I wasn't alone. I decided to go through every room in the house. While I was doing this, I noticed a lot of strange things, especially in the basement. There was one part of the basement that had been sealed off by the previous owner. It had a solid wood door with a deadbolt on it. And when I looked through the windowed portion of the door, it revealed an empty concrete room. Nothing in it at all. Well, of course, being the skeptic that I am, I decided to try and open the door, thinking that maybe I could get a look inside. But as I reached for the deadbolt, I heard this noise coming from behind the door. I stopped and I listened, and then I heard it again. Whatever was making that noise seemed to be getting closer to the door. Of course, I was scared, but I was more intrigued than scared. So I finished opening the door and stepped back to reveal the room behind it. But before I could even take a step into the room, I was met with this horrific sight. There on the ground in front of the door was this huge dog, and it looked like it had just come out of the ground itself. Its fur was matted and dirty, its eyes were glowing red, and its teeth were bared in a silent snarl. And standing at least 6 feet tall on its hind legs, it let out a low growl that echoed through the empty room, and then it started to approach me. Now, of course, I was terrified. I ran out of the basement and into the street. I didn't stop running until I got home. Once I calmed down a bit, I decided to go back to the house and to the room with the dog. When I returned, I brought a camera with me, and although I couldn't see any sign of the dog when I entered the room, I could still hear it growling, but it sounded much farther away this time. As I moved through the pitch-black room, I tried to ignore the sound. Then I felt it again, that sensation that I was being watched. I turned the camera around so that I could see myself, and I could see behind me. And although I could not see anything in the darkness, I could see in the reflection of the lens that there was something there behind me. I tried to calm myself down, and I slowly began to walk backwards out of the room, trying to see what was in front of me, and then I saw it. At first, it was nothing more than a silhouette at the end of the hallway, but as it came closer, I could make out the shape of a man. He was tall and thin, and he seemed to be floating above the ground. And as he approached me, I could feel his eyes boring into me. I don't know how long I stood there watching him walk towards me, but eventually he was close enough that I could make out some features on his face. He had a big hooked nose, and his eyes were completely black, and as he floated past me, I could see his mouth. It was wide and full of sharp teeth. He continued to walk past me, and then he stopped at the end of the hall. I could see that he was looking back at me, and then he turned and walked back down the hall. I didn't move. I couldn't move. I just stood there rooted to the spot until he disappeared from view. I think I stood there for another 5 minutes, just listening for any sound, but there was nothing. So I finally started to move again. As I walked through the house, I felt like I was being watched the whole time. I could feel eyes boring into my back, but I didn't dare turn around to see if I was right. Finally, I made it to the front door and I stepped out into the sunlight, relieved to be away from the house. As I drove home, I kept thinking about what I had seen. Was it really a ghost? Or was I just imagining things? I decided to go back to the house the next day with a friend of mine who is also a paranormal investigator. We went through the house again, but we didn't find any evidence of any kind of paranormal activity. No ghosts, no demons, nothing. But there was one thing we did find. In the basement behind the door with the dog, we found a small hole in the wall that had been concealed by a shelf. We crawled through the hole, and it led us to a small crawl space. In the crawl space, we found a box with some old diaries in it. The diaries were written by the former owner of the house, and they told the story of a man who was obsessed with the occult. He wrote about how he had performed rituals in the house, and how he had summoned demons. One entry in particular caught our attention. It was dated October 18th, 1983, and it read, "Tonight I will perform the ritual and summon the demon Begoth. Begoth is a demon of chaos and destruction. He is the lord of the abyss. I am ready to do whatever it takes to bring him here." We didn't find anything else in the crawl space, so we sealed it back up and left the box with the diaries in the basement. As we were leaving the house, we decided to take one last look in the basement, and that's when we saw it. On the wall behind where the dog had been, we saw the words, "Beware the dog." But it wasn't written in ink or pencil. It was carved into the wood. We didn't stick around to find out how the carving got there. We just got in our car and drove away. To this day, I don't know what I saw in that house. But whatever it was, it scared the hell out of me. I haven't been back to that house, and I don't ever plan on going back. The house has been empty for over 25 years now, and no one has lived there since 1983. Some people might say it was just a figment of my imagination, that I was just stressed out, or that the house was just playing tricks on me. But I know what I saw. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'd rather be crazy than dead. Because if what I saw in that house is real, then I may have just barely escaped with my life. If you liked this video, then please leave a like and subscribe for more content. Also, you can follow me on social media to get updates on future videos. Thank you for watching.